um, there was an insight or aha moment, a very strange, like weird experience. And it was no any like mind blowing or anything like that, no blisses, no honeymoons, nothing. It was just like it felt like mind stopped or I stopped, something stopped, and literally like something stopped, and then it was like 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 waking up from being unconscious or something like that,
Mm.
or like from a deep sleep. And then like the way nervous system reacted, it was like strong crying and laughing and crying, and body went into like strong shakes for a few minutes.
Mm.
And then there were like people were around me, and I say like, I'm okay, I'm totally okay. Like I'm not sure about body, but I am, and I don't even know what I am.
Perfect. Beautiful. I mean, that is an awakening. That,
They say to me, like, you're Anna. I am Anna. And that laugh came out, and like laughing. But I didn't even realize, there was some like something happened at that moment, because everything was exactly the same. And I
mm.
imagined, like once awakening happens, like everything is like oneness, non-duality, and that connectedness and something. It was nothing like that. I was just like, that's just a weird experience.
Yeah. I mean, really what this is, it's just a decontraction. So, like, nothing actually changes except the lens of mind through which you're viewing it. Everything all of a sudden just clarifies, and that is awakening. There's a perception shift from a body-mind identity that's viewing everything else as a separate object, and all of a sudden that evaporates, and all there is just what is, and it's seen clearly. And the reason there was an eruption of laughter is because there is a joy there. There's a joy that's uncaused. It's not because something is great outside of you or funny or beloved. It's just that that is a natural quality of what is when the contraction is released. The contraction of mind evaporates. That's
Because
what you
um,
experienced. That's beautiful.
next day, I was driving to work, and I noticed something is different, like wider open, something
Mhm.
like that. But what happened after this? Um, when I heard people talking in the videos, like you are without even knowing what you are. Like you don't need to know yourself. You don't need to know anything to be. Things
Mhm.
like this. And that's kind of start to click into places. So it's just like, oh yes, it's like a baby. They are born, or someone with amnesia. They just are, but there is no story. And then it was
Mhm.
just like, oh, Anna is just like a story. It's just like a projection and things like this. It just started to clarify itself slowly. And but then it just something like felt it hasn't been fully seen. And I followed Liberation Unleash. I got their book, Gateless Gates, when they, like when they lead people. And I remember one morning I went through that book twice, and one morning I woke up and I was just like, this projection. But this projection is not animated. So what is animating that? And our attention goes back in, and it's completely empty. No one is there.
Mhm.
And I was like, I just felt like body was releasing something. I was just like relief, relief, relief. And then for about 7, 8 months, there was a lot of emotional shadow work,
Mhm.
like all that trauma stuff, like was coming up and just working through. I was like very strong, energetic releases, like shaking and body expressing itself different kind of ways, and screaming and just kicking and scratching different ways, very odd ways, rolling on the floor and different things. But it was very good to see how body just opens up and expresses, releases everything, and there is no stories. Mine just completely just done getting involved and just allows body to do all the work. And that kind of settled. And now this recognition would happen in that moment of that insight. That's kind of establishing, mind becomes like more quiet, and this sense of being, sense of presence, it's just like getting like I could say heavier, but it's not the right word. It's just like more here. Yeah. It's kind of
More
becomes like a
grounded.
more primal experience. Yeah.
Mm.
But still, like still there is feels like there is some kind of me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're just going through the integration of this realization that you had. Even after awakening, there's still the integration of it. Things still bubble up from both conscious and subconscious. Subconscious still being the same thing. It's not that it's different from conscious. It's just, lower, more suppressed energies that have been unchecked throughout either this lifetime or many lifetimes. I'm not sure, but they start to bubble up. They start to bubble up into your awareness, and it can be uncomfortable. But as long as we're returning to our essence that we awakened to in the initial awakening, those energies are allowed to pass through, and they're seen, and they're liberated. They're liberated, just like the idea of a self. That too is liberated, and by liberated I mean evaporated, gone,
Yeah.
dissolved.
It like dissolves, isn't it?
Hmm.
Yeah. Because um a couple of days ago I was talking to someone, and recently what I came across, because once I started to work with that all emotional trauma stuff, um it just seemed like that there is like so much, and that specter is so wide, like all these beliefs. But it seems like it's narrowing down to where one thing, something's wrong with me.
Mm.
And from this something wrong with me, there's just like I'm doing something wrong, and then like they don't love me, they hate me, I'm unworthy, I'm just all popping up like a tree, like a branches from
Hmm.
one stem. So it's just like, yeah, everything just goes back to boils down to this something wrong with me.
Mm.
Um,
Perfect.
I was talking to someone, and they say, like, what is that sensation? So I'm just looking at that sensation, and there was just like sensation, like there's nothing. It's like nothing is there. You can't even say it's neutral because you can't put any word on it. And when I looked at that, it's just like dissolving. So what I
Perfect.
start doing now, some thought comes up, like this thought normally catches attention. They said something, they done something. I just like stop for a moment. What are you without this thought? And attention goes instantly back to that awareness, consciousness, whatever you call it. That what can be called, that what can be named. And and all what is left if thought is just, like gone, where that came from. All is left is sensation. And you just look into that sensation, and that just dissolves as well. And that's it. And it's just like a knot untangles.
You're doing this precisely correct.
Thank you. I
Wonderful.
just, like any, like a bubble, and then
Hmm. Yeah. Beautiful. I have
it
nothing to add. You're doing this all the way right. This is the process of liberation, and you're doing that honestly and truthfully right now. It's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Thank you. I love watching it because you are becoming a node of understanding in the world, and that node of understanding heals everything around it.
It's like that energy is changing, and that's expanding on people around.
Yeah. Yeah, this has a
Uh-huh.
real effect. I mean, I mean, I don't want to put any like big lofty concepts in your mind because there isn't that. But this is what's been religiously described as saints, spontaneous healing from saints. I mean, they were walking around with the realization, probably using different words, such as they realized the full integration of God as the now presence that they are. They probably say something more like that than, the modern language we use, but it's the same essence, and there is a healing there. It's the same reason that there's seen to be holy places on earth where there seems to be spontaneous evaporations of stuck energies, which is what we call healing.
Hmm.
And you become a walking holy place.
Bubble bursting.
Yeah. It's really important though that we don't now take that as our identity, because that would just be another concept. So
Yeah.
don't let that trap you. Don't let that trap you. It's not that you're walking around as an enlightened holy being. No. That's
Look at
still
me.
right, right, right. That's still a
Oh, mind
concept.
loves that. Mind
It
loves that.
loves it, loves it, loves it. That's probably the big right. That's probably the biggest trap there could be.
um, yeah, and you can see that, it's like a small child, like, oh,
Hmm.
look at me, I've done something, and I've achieved something.
It's a natural tendency for consciousness. It explains why we're here right now as we are, because consciousness has a tendency to localize and focus and then identify with its focusing. And that's what we are, or that's what we think we are, this focusing mechanism. But when we realize our essence, we zoom back out to just the essence that knows. And you're right. You already illuminated the fact that although we're calling it pure consciousness or pure awareness or pure being or pure presence, though they're still just concepts or words,
Mhm.
people need to feel into what essence those represent in their direct experience. And that's what unwinds the illusion. That's what dissolves the separation. And you've done that. You're doing that. You're continuing to do that. That's the only thing to do. And realizing that ultimately, you realize also that there is no doer and that there's just a natural evaporation taking place, evaporation
Yeah,
of what never was.
but this is like here all the time, and it's just like a matter of like, that.
Perfect. So I mean, what I'm gathering is you are just naturally stabilized in this as your true essence, as your true nature, which is beautiful. I have
It
nothing to add.
it seems like this has clarified since very recently. It established here when that majority of that energetic emotional that trauma, because it's still there, still coming up and again something getting like that's activated, triggered.
But
um
you know how to deal with it now. You know how to evaporate it.
um Also, like when there is something like something coming through the body, like it feels like body just like relaxes, opens, and just allows it to
Mm.
go through. And sometimes when there is some thought is catching attention or something like asking for more attention, then it just like needs to be looked at,
Hmm.
felt it, or like investigated, whatever. It's very like there is no like recipe. This happens, you do this and that and that. It's more like opens in the moment, and it's
It
just like
it becomes very natural. Yes,
yeah, yeah. It's
totally,
like intuitive way.
totally,
Yeah, it's like when you go and do your cooking, you don't follow recipe. You just yeah, you
totally.
put that. Mm-hmm.
I mean, life itself, this essence that creates this life, is infinitely intelligent. It created all of this. It created the cosmos. It created the work of evolution and physics, and it also created its pathway back to itself. And so, yeah, that's why this investigation of your true nature is also natural at some point. These prompts can help somebody initiate on their path and look in the right direction. It can help people divest from the contents of awareness and look at just the essence of awareness. And from there, they can clearly then investigate what the rest of this is. That's awakening and then liberation on the backside. But yes, it becomes natural, it becomes intuitive because this essence knows what it is. There's a gravity that is your true nature.
Once all that um, majority of that contracted, compressed energy got released, um, this kind of like neutrality and calmness, okayness, peace established, which basically is this itself. It's kind of its nature.
Yes, those are the qualities.
Yeah, and um, mine there is like a very little motivation into investigating, practicing, or doing something. It's more like mine just like leans back into that and just relaxes and just like leans back and just relaxes into that.
Mm.
Because there is no, I could say lazy, but that's not the right word. But it's like that. I want to say lazy, but it's not the right word. It's like it can't make itself. Before it was just let energy just go, do, get something in the future. Because in the future there is all that happiness.
Always. Yep.
And once it's settled into this, it's just like, and it can't even make doing more. And then one stage, I was just like, and how am I going to practice now? How am I going to move forward on this now? Because it feels like something hasn't been fully completed because its sense of me is still operates here. I'm just like, but you can't even make it to make those.
You're right. There's a relaxation into this contentment, and it's not laziness. It's just the joy of being. It doesn't need
Mhm.
to do anything or be anything. It's just being. And in that is a contentment, a natural happiness, a natural joy.
It's just like life is life in itself, and anything needs to be done is getting done.
Yeah.
Like, body gets up and gets dressed and goes to work, and anything needs to be cooked, it's getting cooked, house getting tidied, everything's done with the way. But it's just still, like, oh, maybe lazy, maybe getting depressed, or maybe so.
That's just the mind's commentary on top of just what is. And what is laced with joy and happiness. But when the mind, writes a story about it, that's when suffering and, the illusion of separation and all the qualities of that felt separation, like frustration or lack or, discontentment, those are just energies of tied that are tied to the mind story. But you're right, there's a natural flow to life that just continues and it can be trusted. Like I said, it's infinitely intelligent. It created life itself. You can relax into just being, and
Mm.
everything will just continue happening. And then notice when the mind is writing stories about it, and you know, it's not reality. The mind story is not reality, and so it can just be dismissed outright
It's
in
like
favor of
a
just actually what is.
talk show.
Totally, totally. Yeah, yeah. It's Bob Barker or whoever,
Broadcasting.
Right, right, right. Just comment. Yeah, it's a sports broadcaster commenting on what's happening. And it's like, okay, that can be helpful, that can be fun, that can be enjoyed, but it's not reality. It's not what
Mhm.
is. And what this becomes then, as you divest your consciousness from this mind story that's being wrapped around the experience of life, as that fades, there's no more siphoning of your life energy. And then there's just a full investment, a full embrace of actually what is the movement of life, which is yourself. It's a movement of consciousness itself, and you are that. And so in that, there's a full embrace. There's no separation. It's just a flow of your natural essence. And it can be trusted because it's infinitely intelligent. That's
Yeah,
your
I think
relationship with life.
I think there is still a lack of trust, maybe.
That'll come in
Yeah,
time.
yeah, maybe a fear of, like completely let go and allow life to fully navigate whatever this is. I don't even know what it is.
Right, right. Yeah, there can be a lack of
Yeah.
trust there, but as you practice, just allowing it to be what it is, and then also noticing the effects of it, noticing that life all of a sudden gains a sort of harmonious flow to it. There's less friction with everything. You notice that, and so in time you'll learn to trust it.
It's just like learning to let go more and more and more and more.
It's always a decontraction. Yes, it's a letting go because in a letting go, everything's allowed to be.
Yeah, it is allowed to be is what is definitely common. What I have noticed, it's more and more here that letting be. Yeah,
Hmm.
is anything in this body mind expression is just kind of automatically allowed to be the way it's coming up.
Beautiful.
And there is still resistance patterns still sometimes appearing, but even that, like even that is
That's allowed
allowed.
to be.
Yeah,
When resistance is met with full allowance, where's the resistance?
yeah, because like once that is noticed, like I just like and that's it, because there
Hmm.
is nothing is resistant against resistance. Yeah, and then like if you go and push against wall, you can feel that, but if wall moves, there is no resistance.
Exactly.
And then yeah, it's just like goes again, another bubble.
Yep. That's what this is. Noticing the bubbles and then, popping them with pure allowance.
And that's the way that trust is happening
Yep.
more and more. And it's anything that feels kind of a picture came up today. There is that tiny body and strings attached, like all over, and then strings are just like pop, pop, popping, and just like free in this.
Wonderful. I love to hear it.
So yeah, yeah.
If you found this video helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing. Thank you. All my love.